Rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting of peace, the greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of our universal Creator, Almighty Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukr to Allah, we have the opportunity to continue the series of lectures where I've been speaking about my journey into Iman, into Amal, into a life tayyibun, how I came to go from being a loser to being a winner, and how I live at a higher perspective as a winner, receiving Allah's good in this world through my death and beyond. So, I just want to ask you a question at the outset. Do you want to live and die with your current level of awareness? Do you want to live and die with your current level of awareness of Allah? And for some people that's like a very low level, or, there's no awareness for some people. Those who have ideas about Allah, that He doesn't exist, the kuffar. Those who have ideas about Allah that are erroneous from who Allah really is, the mushrik, the associate partners. And those that say they believe, but they don't really believe. In their hearts is a disease. The disease is there, and it's expanded. The munafiqs, they don't have an awareness of Allah. And they're living, and most of them, until guidance comes to them and they don't receive the guidance, if they turn away, if they remain arrogant, if they continue to worship Satan, they will live at their current level of unawareness. So my question to you is it okay for you, is this what you want, to continue to live and to die with your current level of unawareness of Allah? That there is for us to be aware of Allah, there is for us to have Iman in our hearts. Your current state of your heart, is it okay? Do you want to remain the same? When you're living, your current level of heart, what that is, and all of us have a diseased heart until guidance comes to us, and those of us who are interested in having our hearts purified, and we claim the refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed, we will have our hearts purified. Satan does not interfere with those who are devout in the worship of Allah. The Quran says, over those who are devout in the worship of Allah, Satan has no authority. But for the rest of the human beings, we all are in a fallen state, we all have forgotten, and we're living unconscious. So my question to the people is, if you had to die today, are you pleased with your level of God consciousness? Have you addressed your diseased heart? Is there Iman in your heart? Do you want to live and die at your current level of Allah awareness? Now, I have become more aware, and I am experiencing the ease, the peace, the patience, the being pleased, the gratitude. And so I'm on the path. And if I had to die today, I'd die pleased that I have stepped on the path, guidance has come to me, and I've received the guidance, and I've had my heart purified. I didn't put my children first or my family first, and I didn't put my wealth first. I didn't put my work first in this life. It was like that before. But when guidance came to me, I knew it wasn't my wealth nor my children that was going to avail me. My life didn't continue to focus around my career or my work. I wasn't controlled by my work any longer. And I wasn't controlled by my loved ones any longer. I, at some point, stepped onto the path, and I am further along the path, the straight path, the path upon whom the blessings of Allah are experienced. So I'm okay. If I had to die today, I'm very grateful that my heart is more pure than what it has been. I live with more Iman in my heart. I live with a higher level of Amal. The way I conduct myself and live my life is more honorable. In my life, I'm living a more tayyib life, a more natural life, a more wholesome life, rather than a perverted life that I lived before. So I'm okay. If I had to die right now in this moment, I'm okay. As the prophets have told us, we read the Quran, Abraham, his children, Isaac, Ishmael, son of Isaac, peace be upon them all. Jacob said to his children, Yaqub alayhi salam said to his children, do not die. Except as a believer. Do not die. Except having remembered Allah, except having established a relationship with Allah. Do not die So if you had to die today, is this what you want? You want to die at this particular level of unawareness or awareness? I'm okay if I died today. If I transitioned, if Allah took me back today, my life is His. He gave me the opportunity. I've lived. I've learned to value guidance. I spent my life, interested in guidance and using guidance. I've recognized the error of my ways. I've corrected to some degree. From who I was to who I am, I don't think anybody can dispute. Anybody who knew me and knows me, will dispute the change that has occurred in me. That is evident. I've outgrown myself. I've outgrown. I'm not as superstitious as I was. I'm not as ignorant as I was. I'm not as unaware as I was. I'm not as arrogant. I'm not arrogant as I was. I'm not, denying Allah and His gifts. And, I'm not denying, I'm not associating, I'm not a hypocrite. I'm aware of Allah and I submit. I'm among those who submit every day. My heart is being purified. So if I die today, I'm very okay with that. But I want to live. That with every passing day and night and week and month and year and decade, all the way to my death, I see the optimal level of Allah consciousness. I am living for the purpose of having an optimal level of Allah consciousness. I want to be as close to Allah as I can be at the time of my death. You understand? I want to be as close as I can be. I don't want to live in this world and die in this world and realize, I had an opportunity to draw closer to Allah and I wasn't interested in it, and I didn't support it, and I didn't experience. I don't want to be among the losers. You see, the Quran calls those people, to whom guidance has come, they turn their back, they remain superstitious, they remain ignorant, they remain arrogant, they remain entitled, they remain all these things, they remain unappreciative, they remain feeling separate and disconnected, they remain feeling alone and unsupported. They remain like they have to do things for themselves and other people, and they have to change the world and their world. They remain in an ego state of desire, that they don't know what's really good to desire in this world. One of the things I'm glad that I recognized what to desire was wisdom. I've asked Allah for wisdom. I've asked Allah to guide me to use my ability to reason. I have wanted to reason, and I asked Allah to give me the ability to reason, which He gave all of us, but to allow me to develop my ability to reason. And so these are things I have been interested in my life. Ask people, what do you want? I need a new car. What do you want? I need a new partner, a wife, a new one. Then what do you want? They'll tell you all kinds of things. I've got a problem. I'm like this. The world is like that. Other people are like this. You know what I mean? I asked Allah for, the guidance, the wisdom, the ability to use my ability to reason, to live in a way that allows me to receive guidance, to learn, to grow, that I may live my life in support of developmental learning. You understand? I'm living as a more developed human being today spiritually, a more developed human being today psychologically, a more developed person today interpersonally and in this world. I'm living as a more developed person. That's what the guidance, that is the Quran, is for humanity, by the way. Developmental learning. So if you look at my life, you can see I'm not as insecure as I once was. I'm more secure. I'm at least mildly secure. And for that I'm very grateful. I'm not living at a insecure level, and I'm mildly secure at least. And I'm looking forward to moderate and major levels of security. I want to be a believer whose heart is completely healed, whose heart is completely filled with Iman. That is what's important to me. You understand? I know when you ask, that's how when you speak to a believer, you know a believer when you speak to them. Because the believer has a different perspective from a non-believer. And the believer perceives the world in a very different way from the misperceptions of a non-believer. The first thing you'll notice a believer, when you ask them, what's your highest value? They say, Jannatul Firdaus. That my life in the hereafter, which is the perpetual life, is one of security, satisfaction. You get what I mean? Is one of the highest levels of Allah's blessing lived and experienced by me. Basically, what a believer is telling you, I live not for this world. I receive Allah's good in this world, but I live in this world to learn, grow and develop so that I can receive Allah's good in the next world. I'm here for Iman, Amal and a life tayyibun. That's what a true believer will tell you. I know I didn't. If you ask me before what you want, I'll tell you about, look at how I am. I shouldn't be like this. Look at how I'm behaving. Look at how other people are behaving. Look at other people. Look at this. Look at the world. Look at other people. You understand? Before, when I was not a believer, when you worship Satan and you haven't learned to worship Allah, you don't know Allah, you haven't become a, you're not remembering Allah. Because if I ask you, what's your problem? And you tell me that you have a problem other than remembering Allah. You understand? That I have forgotten Allah and there is for me to remember Allah. And that's my problem. I'm not remembering Allah. Those who fail to remember Allah, they will have a depressed life. You understand? The Quran tells us. If you fail to remember Allah, Allah will fail to remember you. You understand that if you remember Allah, your heart will experience assurance. So if people tell you things like, my problem is I'm sick, I got this disease, pray for me. My problem is this, I got no job, I got no money, pray for me. My problem is this, my children are doing their own thing, they're not listening to me, pray for me. You understand? If anybody gives you an answer like that, you can rest assured that they do not have a perspective of a believer. They still haven't remembered. They haven't remembered. They're still worshipping Satan. They're still in this world. They have made this world the only world. They've made the life of this world, the only life. They have been distracted by the life of this world. The Quran says, do not let the world distract you from what your purpose is here, what your priority is here. A believer is one who has been guided and they have one priority, and that is to remember Allah, to bring to Allah a purified heart. That's the only real problem a person has. If somebody says, no, I don't have that problem. My problem is my wife, my husband, my children, my money. I got no place to live. I got no food to eat. Whatever. I got nobody to be with. Whatever their problem is. The people I'm with, they're not nice. The place I'm living in is not nice. It's not nice. I don't have new curtains. I've been crying for a long time for new curtains. That's my problem. I still got carpets. Other people have got tiles and have moved on. My problem is I got no tiles. You know what I mean? My problem is I've got these old clothes and I got no new clothes. My problem is I can't keep up with the Joneses. If people tell you answers like that, nobody's judging anybody. You understand? If you give me answers like that, if I ask you what's the problem, and you tell me anything other than, if I die having not submitted to Allah, if I die except in a state of submission, I am in serious trouble. You understand? If somebody tells me, if I ask you what's the problem, and you tell me that if I die having not submitted, that is the problem, because I would have failed to receive Allah's good in this world and the world beyond. You understand? I would have failed to remember Allah and focus on Allah and feel about Allah. I would fail to recognize the will of Allah always done in my favor. I would have recognized to fail the gifts of Allah already given. I would be in the forgetting state. I forgot. I can't see what really is. To forget means you don't remember. It means, and what is there for us to remember? There is only Allah sufficient for us. There is only Allah the adequate. There is only Allah enough for us. There's never been a problem. There is no problem. No, there is a problem, said the non-believer. You get what I mean? But the believer who has remembered Allah is aware there is no problem. You understand? That why is there no problem? What do you mean? Because Allah has given guidance to humanity. That's why there's no problem. If Allah turned His back after Adam and Eve, and after Adam repented, peace be upon him, who I judge him? He's a human being too. We are human beings too, Allah didn't say, oh, your foreparents, they did this, Adam and Eve, you know what I mean? And now we against you. He repented for him and his people. And Allah said, guidance will come to you and your people. Those who receive the guidance will no longer be insecure. You know, the heart won't be diseased. They won't live with the diseased heart and be astray. You understand? For those of you who are listening to this, you obviously have said, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir bismillahir rahmanir rahim, la ilaha illallah. You said that. But the question is, are you a hypocrite? That's the question here. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, are you a hypocrite? Are you living with a disease in your heart? And as the days go by, is that disease being expanded? Are you living astray? And as the days go by, you are left to stray. You see, are you okay with that? I'm not saying you should answer yes or no. I'm asking you to think for yourself. Now, the Quran says the lowliest of people are those who will not reason. You get what I mean? So some of you listening to this, you don't want to reason. So I'm asking you to reason, but you don't want to reason. Then my question is, what is your reason for listening to this? Some of you will say, hey, I'm hoping and I'm just wishing if I listen to this, I won't suffer. I'm just hoping and wishing if I listen to this, I'll get my man back, I'll get my woman back, I'll get my money back, I'll get my health back, I'll get my job back. Some of you might be listening and saying, hey, I don't know, if I listen, I think I won't go to hell. If I listen, I think I'll be saved. No. You got to listen to reason. Understand? They say listen to the voice of reason. You got to listen for the purpose of reasoning. The lowliest of creation, the Quran says, are those who will not reason. So you got to ask yourself, am I here hoping and wishing that if I'm just here, this is a guru, maybe the guru will pray for me. If the guru prays for me, I'll be saved. I have nothing to do with those kind of people, the gurus and their followers. The gurus, the pandits and their worshippers. I have nothing to do with them. And if you belong with those people, if you're thinking that you're turning to me, I will tell you straight, turn to Allah. Allah is sufficient for you. I know the gurus and the pandits will tell you to turn to them. Even the Prophet never said turn to him. The Prophet said turn to Allah. The Prophet turned to Allah. The Prophet said, I do not know. Only Allah knows. Turn to Allah. The gurus and the pandits, they're not interested in Allah and guiding you to Allah. They're interested in religious expertise. They want to continue the guru system, the pandit system. And there are a lot of people who follow the gurus and the pandits want to continue that, India, in Islamism. They have brought, contaminated Islam into Islamism because they brought the Indian culture, the Hindu culture, the Hindu belief system, the Hindu religious structures into Islam, and they contaminate it. So I'm just saying to you that why are you listening to? I'm telling you what the Quran is telling you. I'm telling you what the revelation is. I'm telling you what Allah is telling you. I'm not telling you anything from myself. I'm telling you what I recognized and how I have progressed through guidance. If you believe in Allah, He will guide your hearts. You understand? I have Allah guiding me through intuition every day, closer and closer to Him, because I want to live and die as a believer, knowing that I wasn't a believer and maybe I'm still a weak believer, but I want to live and die as a strong believer, as an optimally strong believer. I want to live and die at the highest level of security. It's a problem for me if I remain the same, is what I'm telling you. If I continue to live and die with my current level of Iman, or the lack of it in some other people's cases, it's a problem for me, But for others, it's not a problem, because other people think if I got money, if I got this, if I got that, if I change my car, if I change my house, if I change my spouse, I'm okay. That's how the non-believers are. You understand? They're not aware. They don't have a perspective, a higher perspective of why we are here. What is the priority? What is the reason we are here? The Quran tells us. It's to remember God, to remember Allah, to become aware of our universal Creator. to draw closer to our Creator, to adore God and draw closer, to bow and draw closer. That's why we are here. So, I am focused on, I'm not saying you could. I'm focused on being more secure with every passing day, night, week, month, year, decade, all the way through to my death. If I live more than 1 century, even into the next century, that's my focus. I want to be centered around Allah. I want to support my spiritual development. You understand? I want to have my heart cleansed. It's a problem for me if I live and die without my heart being cleansed. It's a problem for me if I bring to Allah a heart that is impure. It's for me, but not for you. Maybe for you it's not a problem. Allah says, let those who believe, believe. Let those who disbelieve, disbelieve. If you are a disbeliever and you're living in this world, you're living from a lower perspective. You think it's all about this world, the dunya, and what's here. And your focus is on what you want for here. That is fine. That means you have forgotten the hereafter. That means no guidance came to you. When guidance came to you, you turned your back against it. I'm not saying any of these things to make anybody feel guilty. I want you to understand that. If you feel guilty, it comes from you. I'm not doing this to make you feel bad in any way. If you feel bad, it comes from you. And I pray you feel healthy bad, which is called remorse, but not unhealthy bad, which is called guilt. Guilt doesn't help you. Help is from remorse. What helps you is remorse. That's what asking Allah for forgiveness is remorse. When you realize, oh me, my, what have I done? Or in our case, what didn't I do? I didn't draw closer to Allah. I didn't focus on wisdom. I didn't focus on guidance. I didn't focus on, seeing the error of my ways. I didn't focus on correction. I didn't focus on cleansing of my heart. I didn't focus on living and dying with a cleansed heart. I didn't focus on remembering Allah, experiencing security. I've been busy in this world with Satan telling me, what about this, and change the tiles, and change this, and get this and that, and people and things. You are into the conditions of the world. A believer is one who is into unconditional joy. When you're a believer, you know you're a winner. You know you have come here and you are here, and it is for you to go beyond superstition. You recognize when you were superstitious. I know when I was superstitious. A lot of people don't know that they are still superstitious, especially the hypocrites. They don't know they're superstitious. I know what superstition is. Allah has guided me to recognize superstition, not knowing Tawheed. And now I know truth, Tawheed. There is only Allah, alone that actually is. Allah, because of whom I am, because of whom I continue to be. Allah, the unique, the supreme. Allah, the all-powerful. I'm interested in humility before Allah. I'm interested in recognizing the power of Allah. That's what happens when you draw closer to Allah. You humble yourself. And you are in awe of the greatness. You adore the graciousness. You appreciate the gifting nature of Allah. You recognize that Allah is alone the gifting, unconditionally giving. Allah has already given to you whatever you require, and is the granting. He'll produce it for you in your reality. When you make a demand for it, when you ask for it, when you say, this is what I require, He'll never say no. The believer is aware of this. This is why the Prophet ﷺ said, dua is the weapon of the believer. You understand? A lot of people are making dua, it's not working for them, because the Quran says, the prayers of those who have no faith is nothing but vain prayers. You get them? People think they have faith because they say they believe. The Quran says, do you think you'll say you believe and you won't be assessed? You think I said I believe. You're a hypocrite if you say you believe, but you don't believe. You're lying to yourself, thinking you lie to Allah. That's what the Quran tells us. Surah Baqarah. They say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they do not. In their hearts is a disease. They lie to themselves, thinking they lie to Allah, but they only lie to themselves. In their hearts is a disease, and that disease is expanded. And, they're astray, and they're left to stray. Now, it's a problem for me. It might not be a problem for you and other people listening to this recording. It's a problem for me if I say I believe but I don't. It's a problem for me if I lie to myself thinking I'm lying to Allah, but I'm actually lying to myself. It's a problem for me. You get what I mean? It might not be a problem for you. It might be like, I believe but you lie. but you only lie to yourself, it's not a problem for you. But it is a problem for me. That if I say I believe in Allah in the last day, but I don't believe in Allah in the last day. If I lie to Allah thinking I lie to Him, but I'm only lying to Him, it's a problem for me. If I live and my heart remains diseased to the degree that it's diseased, my heart has been cleansed to the degree it has been cleansed. It's not completely cleansed, but it's been cleansed to the degree it is. And I intend to live and die, and the time before I die, my heart be completely cleansed. I choose to bring to Allah a completely cleansed heart. It's a problem for me if I don't. You understand? Bring to Allah a completely cleansed heart. Now for some of you, you might have other things that you think is a problem. You understand? It's a problem for me if my children remain the same. It's a problem for me if my husband or wife remain. It's a problem for me if my income situation. It's a problem for me if I'm sick. Everybody is going to die. So you might realize, oh, okay, that's a problem for me too. I don't want to die. No, I've prepared for my life, and I've prepared for my death, and I've prepared for my afterlife. I don't mind dying. I'm ready. But I want to be more ready. You understand? So this is what I'm saying to you. That when those who receive the guidance, when I receive the guidance, I recognize Allah's compassion and mercy. And I recognize that I was diseased in my heart. I had forgotten. I was to remember. I was to support recognizing where I'm in error. I was to correct. I was to value guidance, the value of guidance. Last week I was speaking to you about how guidance protects us from the downward spiral of remaining forgetful of Allah, having that diseased heart, and having that diseased heart reflected to us. When you fail to remember Allah, yours will be a problematic life. You'll have a depressed life. And that depressed life gets worse and worse. And a lot of people think, but we're not depressed. We've got a new car, we've got new tiles. We are with the Joneses, Ashraf. I'm not depressed. But let me tell you, until you are spiritually expressed, you are depressed, you're spiritually depressed. Until you experience the unconditional joy of being a believer, that what I am is a winner and I know what it means to be a winner. I'm on the path of Iman first, Amal, and a life tayyibun. I'm not living with that diseased heart feeling separate from Allah, feeling abandoned by Allah. I'm not living in that diseased heart worshipping Satan, feeling abandoned by Allah. I'm not living with the diseased heart without Iman in my heart. I'm not living with a diseased heart worshipping Satan and being self-abandoning. I'm not with my own hands destroying me, my body, my life. I'm not with my own hands playing a negative role in my life and other people's life and other people and in life. I got Iman, I got Amal to some degree, and I'm living a life tayyibun. I'm not living a perverted life. I'm not into perversion. I'm not into perversion. Understand? I'm into living naturally, satisfied. I'm living a natural, satisfied life, and I'm serving other people in living a natural, satisfied life. I'm not a pervert. I'm not living perversion anymore. I used to be perverted. I'm not ashamed to say that, but I'm not anymore. I'm on the path. Shukr to Allah who has guided me. This is, when people who can hear this guidance and receive this guidance and appreciate this guidance and realize what a thing. If Allah remained without giving us guidance. Allah says in the Quran, to all people have come, prophets, teaching people, telling people the truth. To all people they've been sent. Allah is merciful. Allah could have left us. Look, for a lot of people, they're not interested in the status of their heart. They're not interested whether they're astray or they're being guided. They're not interested. A lot of people are like, my tiles, my car, my house, my husband, my health, my hair, whatever it is. A lot of people are for the bodies and for what their bodies require and for their minds and their egos and, I'm now, fitting in society because I got married now. Before I wasn't married, now I'm married, now I'm like everybody else. I'm getting approval, all that sort of thing. That's how the average unbeliever is. I'm not judging anybody, I'm just describing. So, when people realize the guidance and the value of the guidance, how precious it is, and what its benefit is to us in this world through our death and beyond. The guidance guides us to Iman, Amal, and a life tayyibun. This is the straight path. This is what the guidance guides us to, the straight path, the path where Allah's favors are received by you in this world through your death and beyond. This is where, with the guidance, if you receive the guidance and you value the guidance and you use the guidance to see where you are in error and you correct, you develop yourself spiritually so that you can live as a spiritually developed human being. Otherwise, you're spiritually impoverished and spiritually undeveloped. That's the problem. People don't realize that the remembrance of Allah is spiritual development. And when you remember Allah, when you're spiritually developed, then you live very differently with Allah. You turn to Allah, you know that your spiritual needs are always met, you feel assured and reassured. You understand? That's Iman. That's Yaqeen. That's Taqwa. You know, the Quran tells us it's not about turning your head to the east or the west or wherever you turn your head. Meaning it's not about the rituals. There's a place for rituals. But it's for those who, you know, the state of their heart, al-bir. It's what's in your heart. It's taqwa. It's your level of God consciousness. Your level of truth awareness, security, orientation. More interested in God than interested in current situations or conditions that have been in current conditions of the world. We're more interested in the Creator. That's taqwa. This month of Ramadan, the Quran tells us fasting has been prescribed to those before and prescribed to you that you may develop taqwa. There's a lot of people. They're clueless about Allah, Iman. They're clueless about how to live in a way that benefits themselves, their bodies, their lives, their afterlives. They don't claim the natural potentials and for satisfaction in this world, enjoyment, natural enjoyment, satisfaction. They don't claim it. They're just keeping the fast. F-A-R-C-E. You understand? They're starving themselves. And some people might say there's good in that too, Ashraf, because you starve yourself with intermittent fasting. But not the way that these fasters are doing it. At least if they got that benefit would be good. But now they break their fast with all oils, vegetable oils and all kinds of oils. Synthetic stuff. Fried stuff. Poisoning, not even that benefit. You can't even say these poor fasters, at least their health is improving. Not even that. Through their intermittent fasting. You get what I mean? But the point of fasting is to develop taqwa. I love fasting. And I can tell you something. I've developed my taqwa through fasting. I do it. I do. You understand? I'm living the teaching. I'm living having been guided. Fast in the month of Ramadan that you may develop taqwa. Understand? That's guidance. You don't say act like a good Islami, that everybody now is starving themselves during the whole day. You starving yourself too, getting irritated and angry that you have to do this, lashing out at everybody. That's not developing taqwa. That's the opposite of taqwa. That's like I don't know what, anti-taqwa. Understand? That's developing, more spiritual impoverishment through your fasting. That's not even fasting. Fasting will develop you. That can't be fasting. That's not developing you. You understand what I'm saying? So, look, you don't have to listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to like what I'm saying. You don't, if you worship Satan, you'll be in your anti-hero. What is an anti-hero? It's just a word I made up. What is an anti-hero? It's one who worships Satan. What does that mean? Although you have potentials and possibilities in this world, although you have potentials and possibilities in this world, you will not recognize them. Look, all of us can, with the guidance already given to us by our Creator, live guided. We can. There's a potential for us to have Iman, Amal, and live a life tayyibun. It's there. The Quran is showing us the way there. Not just reading it in a language you don't understand. You know what I mean? But like gleaning its wisdom, its benefit. The Quran says this is a book, it's a healing of the diseases in the hearts of people. People are reading the Quran, that heart is, those who say they believe in Allah in the last day, that they don't believe, in their hearts is a disease, that disease is expanded and they're left astray. They're reading the Quran left, right and center, rushing through it, counting how many times they have completed it. But that heart is diseased. And that heart is expanding in disease. And they're astray. They're not receiving the message of the Quran, they're astray. I give two hoots about them. I'm so grateful, Allah. Sometimes something is good for you. You don't know it's good for you. I thought people should have listened to me. I thought people should be listening to me. I'm so happy that these people don't listen to me and turn to me, because it would be such a big bother to try and educate these people. Not to say I wouldn't have done it, but it would be such... At least now I focus on my iman expanding, my amal increasing, my life tayyibun exceeding in this world through my death and beyond. Nobody asks me for guidance, help, whatever it is. Nobody's even recognizing anything I'm saying from among the Islamis. So it makes my life easier. If Allah says, why didn't you tell them? I said, I invited them. You are my witness. Why are you even asking me that? They didn't ask for guidance, they turned their back. I told them straight. I described them to themselves and they didn't want to see it. When I put it right in their face to tell them, how more obvious do you want it to be? Your heart is diseased. It doesn't bother you. You're astray. You're remaining astray. It doesn't bother you. You're not into iman. You're not into amal. You're not into a life tayyibun. They don't want to hear. And I'm not criticizing. I'm only giving support to save people. Keep reminding. Well, the Quran says, remind the believers. So they're obviously not believers. The Quran said to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that, whether you tell them or you don't tell them, it means nothing to them. You can't get through to them. They got blinkers, in front of them, above them. It's like there's walls all around them. When you worship Satan, that's how it is. You can't hear truth. You're not interested in guidance. So I was saying to us that all of us, through the guidance that has been given, these potentials for iman, amal and a life tayyibun is ours. You can live and die with a higher level of iman. But not everybody wants to live and die with a higher level of iman. Not everybody wants to develop themselves spiritually. You understand? You can live and die at a higher level of amal. People are not interested. Got nothing to do with me. I'm not supposed to bring to God other people's purified hearts. I'm just here to bring to God my purified heart, which I'm doing. I'm interested. And I'm doing it every day. I choose to play a beneficial role in my spiritual life. You understand? I choose to live on priority. I choose that potential to live and die with iman at the highest level, to bring to Allah a heart that is, most pure. That is my choice. And the hero in me supports that. I live every day in support of that potential. I can recognize that potential exists. I can choose that potential. And I can support that potential. Satan doesn't want you to do that. When you don't realize that there's an opportunity for you. That's why I was speaking for the last 2-3 weeks about the Quran as guidance and the value of guidance, the opportunity that it opens us up to, the door that it opens us up to, that we can live and die as a winner, that in the hereafter you'll have no issues. You'll have the best of everything in the hereafter, and also in this world too. You'll receive Allah's good. You'll have a tayyib life and a blissful return. But people are not interested in that potential. They're not interested in me being a believer themselves. I'm interested in me being a believer. If I live the way I'm living and I don't actually expand iman in my heart, it's a problem for me. A lot of people we don't care. We're just doing what the Guru told us to do. As long as I do my rituals, as long as I just do this, that. The Prophet didn't tell the people, okay, here's the Quran, a little pamphlet, read your namaz, keep your fast. It could have been covered in a very small little kitab, a small little booklet. Why tell human beings all those verses of the Quran? Why tell them all that? Just tell them in a small little booklet, this is what you should be doing, and do it. Why didn't the Quran come in as a book of rituals? This is the rituals you must do. If you do these rituals, you are right. The Quran is here for guidance, to guide people to the remembrance of Allah, for people to go beyond living superstitiously, ignorantly, arrogantly. The Quran is a guidance for people to develop themselves. The Quran is a book of developmental learning, that you develop yourself as a person, you develop yourself as a son, you develop yourself as a father, or as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife, as a husband, as a neighbor. You develop yourself as a member of society. You contribute to the development of society. It's not about let's just live superstitiously, ignorantly, arrogantly. It's just live unconsciously. But as long as we're doing our rituals, here we are, up and down, kiss the ground and turn around and off we go. The Quran says, woe to those who stand in prayer but whose hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses. It says it's not about turning to the left and turning to the right, turning to the east and turning to the west. It's about whose heart there's taqwa in. It's not about doing sacrifices for God. It's not the blood and the flesh of the animals that are sacrificed. It's the taqwa that reaches God. You understand? Where are those gurus talking about the taqwa? They don't exist. If somebody is not talking about taqwa, they're not... if somebody is not talking about taqwa, they're a guru, they're a pandit. I've got nothing wrong against them. I'm just saying they're not giving the people the message of the Quran, and they're not supporting themselves and other people in guidance. So guidance has come to us, and there is no problem. There's no problem. Because guidance has come to us. Because Allah is compassionate. Because Allah is merciful. There's no problem. No, there is a problem. What problem? What is Satan telling you there's a problem? If there was no guidance for us to receive, if we remain spiritually undeveloped and impoverished, psychologically undeveloped and impoverished, and interpersonally undeveloped and impoverished, and societally underdeveloped and impoverished, there would be a problem. There is Allah who's merciful upon us, whose mercy is guidance, who's showing us what we are here to do. If He didn't tell me what I'm here to do, what I'm here for, I wouldn't know. I would be lost like other people, or how I was before. But now I know what my priority is. I can live every day benefiting my soul, benefiting my spiritual life, living with authentic spiritual. Every day I can benefit my soul. The Quran says those who are thankful for the benefit of their own soul. You understand? The Quran is telling us it's not a ritual to be thankful. It's a level of awareness. It's a spiritual practice. The gurus are not teaching you the spiritual practice of thankfulness. Just do this, read this, but you don't have to be more thankful. That this heart is diseased. The Pandits, we are right. They're more right than the Prophet, the way they're more self-righteous. They know everything. They can tell you what God meant more than God can tell you. That's how they believe and act. But this is what it is. God has guided me for what I must do for my spirit while I'm here. And I'm doing it for my spirit. If I didn't do it, and if I don't do more of it, it's a problem for me. You get what I mean? God is showing me what I must do to live so that I don't destroy myself with my own hands. The role that I'm playing in my life. You get what I mean? I'm not living like this beggar and needy. I have God. I have the guidance of God. The compassion of God is upon me. God has guided me to claim refuge with Him from Satan the accursed. I claim refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. The hypocrites, they don't want to hear this. They want to remain hypocrites. You can tell them this. They're like, no. Help me God, I got this problem, I got that problem. The only problem you have is you don't remember Allah. The only problem you have is you don't recognize the value of guidance. The only problem you have is you haven't received the guidance. The only problem you have is that you are not benefiting your own soul. The only problem you have is you're not playing a more beneficial role for you, your body and your life, amal, and how you relate to others. You're not playing a beneficial role with you, your body, your life, with your future in this world to your death and beyond. The only problem is you're not playing a beneficial role to the people around you. The only problem is you're not letting the people who can benefit you come into your life. The only problem is you're letting yourself down. There's no other problem. So, I'm very grateful. Allah has not let me down, gave me the Quran, and I don't want to let myself down anymore. I can begin to say, yes, my heart is diseased, but Allah is patient with me. Yes, Allah, is allowing of me. Allah has given me guidance. Allah has extended His forgiveness to me. I can have remorse and regret, and I can say, Allah, forgive me. My heart has been diseased, and it's still diseased. But you have guided me to your mercy. You have guided me to your compassion. You have guided me to you. I am to ask you for forgiveness for the way I have lived and for the way I'm living. I can have remorse that I'm living superstitiously, ignorant, arrogantly. I'm not learning. I'm not engaging in developmental learning. I'm not learning about you and drawing closer to you. I'm not learning about how I can play a beneficial role to my soul. I'm not learning. I'm not spiritually developing. I'm sorry, I want to learn. I'm not learning how I can relate better to me, my body and my life. Remember, the Quran is there for halal and tayyib. I got like a, screwed up understanding of things. I'm an Islami. I'm not really understanding Islam. I'm not really one who has submitted. I think I'm a believer, but I'm not even one who is submitted in Islam. I'm actually one who is a hypocrite. Guide me that I may live and die, that I'm pleased with me, for I have fulfilled the purpose for what I'm alive for. That you are pleased with me. That I have learned to play a beneficial role with my soul. That I have not neglected my soul and harmed my soul. I want to learn to do that. Now most of the Islamists, they don't want to learn to do anything. They just say, tell me what to say. Too steeped in the Hindu mindset. Too steeped. A lot of them will never hear what I'm saying. It'll never reach them what I'm saying. Because they're too deeply identified. They are modified Hindus. And I got nothing against the Hindus. They are modified Hindus. I'm just describing the mentality that anybody who wants to observe can see. They are not interested in Allah and drawing closer to Allah and purifying their hearts, benefiting their souls. You get what I mean? If you say, Allah, guidance has come to me and I haven't received it. You are the compassionate. You have given me the guidance. It'd be a big problem for me if I live and die without playing a beneficial role to my soul. I'm here, and my first responsibility is to my soul. If I'm letting my soul down, I don't want to do that. I want to benefit my soul. It's a problem for me if I live and die without benefiting my soul. Iman. If I don't develop spiritually and live as a spirit, it's a problem. It's a problem for me if I live and die without amal, not benefiting me, my body, my life, not playing a constructive role, a role that is beneficial in my life. If I'm playing a destructive role, if I am neglecting myself, negating my life, negating myself, if I'm actually doing harmful things to me, my body and my life, I'm very sorry. I don't want to live and die like that. It's a problem to me if I live and die without being the person who's benefiting my soul. It's a problem for me if I live and die without being a person who benefiting me, my body, my life, my afterlife. It's a problem for me if I live and die without receiving your good in this world and the world beyond. It's a problem. I'm not saying it should be a problem for you. It could be a problem for some of you. Think about it. Some of you are like, no, I got a new car, it's no problem. I got what I wanted in this world, it's no problem. You get what I mean? That means you're lost. You don't know this world is temporary. You are temporary in this world. Your conditions are temporary. Having the things of this world or having the things of the world be the way you want them to be is temporary. What is permanent is the hereafter and your condition in the hereafter. And what determines your condition in the hereafter is whether you have iman, amal, and you're supporting a life tayyibun. You can begin to say, Allah, I'm living a perverted life. Ego desires left, right, and center. I don't know what it is to live your good in this world and the world beyond. If I live and die without receiving your good in this world and in the world beyond, if I haven't, it's a problem for me. This is where we can see that Allah is patient with us, is giving us the guidance, and He guided the Prophet plenty times in the Quran. Ask for forgiveness for you and for the believers. The Prophet was told to ask for forgiveness for him. He wasn't like, I'm the Prophet, I don't need to ask for forgiveness. You know what I mean? Like the gurus and the pundits. We are the gurus and the pundits. We don't need to ask for forgiveness. You understand? Arrogance. They're not worshipping Allah. They're not humble before Allah. They're not recognizing we are astray and we are left to stray if we don't value guidance. The heart is diseased, and that disease is going to be expanded if we don't value guidance. You get what I mean? So you think about it. It's got nothing to do with me, your state in this world through your death and beyond. It's got absolutely nothing to do with me. As my state, as how I live and die and how I'm raised up again, has got nothing to do with you. Think about it. Don't think about it. I give a, I'm not interested. But what I am interested in is me. And I'm sharing this with you. That I want to live. For me, it's a problem. I'm not saying it should be a problem for you. For me, it's a problem if I've lived my life and I've let myself down. If I've lived my life and I'm going to regret it in the hereafter, it's a problem for me. If I've lived my life without Iman in my heart ever expanding, if I lived my life without Amal ever increasing, if I lived my life without a Tayyibun ever exceeding, I would have let myself down, and that would be a problem for me. I don't want to do that. I am not interested in my anti-hero that is worshipping Satan and continues. I'm willing to support this vision that I have of myself, to live with Iman, Amal, and a life Tayyibun at the highest level, to die with the highest level of Iman, Amal, a life Tayyibun, and to be raised up with the highest level of Iman, Amal, and the Tayyibun of the hereafter. That is my future that I am seeing. If I continue to be this way, that continues this life, it's a problem for me. If I live and die without more Iman, Amal, and a life Tayyibun, it's a problem for me. But I'm not saying that it should be a problem for you. If it's not a problem for you, there's no problem for you. Bigger problems exist for you that you'll only come to know later. But for me, guidance has come to me. I already know what's going to happen later. That if you are a winner in this world, you'll be happy you chose to be a winner. Iman, Amal, a life Tayyibun. If you're a loser in this world, you'll regret it tremendously. This is the guidance. I mean, who would have known? We wouldn't know what's going to happen in the hereafter, but the Quran is telling us. So I'm grateful. I have every reason to be grateful. And I don't have to be perfect. I just have to have regret, remorse, and sorrow. I just have to recognize that I've been diseased in my heart, and my heart is diseased, and I don't want to continue. And that I want to learn, grow, and develop. I want to actually develop myself spiritually. I want to develop myself psychologically. I want to live as a spiritually developed human being and die as a spiritually developed human being. I want to live as a psychologically developed human being and die as a psychologically developed human being. I want to live with spiritual well-being, psychological wellness, experiential wealth. I want to enjoy a natural life in this world through my death and beyond. That's me. That's the future I see for me. That's my dua for me and for my loved ones and for those of you who want it too. That's what we see. That's the future we're working towards. We don't want to remain the same. We don't want to continue living the way we're living. We want to develop ourselves. And we want to die at the higher level of development and enjoying the benefits of that development in this world through our death and beyond. Shukr to Allah has guided me to the path of human excellence. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukr to Allah.